Hello readers, we're in Reading Writing 2, week 28, and you have just finished reading a wonderful book, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that book is one of 7, so I hope that you go on and read other books in the same series. If you take class next year with me with Love of Lit, you'll read a couple of more, but you can read them on your own too, so I hope you do. But anyway, today we are going to get started with our writing, and we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're working on a 4-square, but the thing that's going to be a little different this time is that we have been gradually adding to our paragraphs until the last couple of weeks. You've been working on a 5-paragraph essay, and you've done a great job with that. Well, one thing, though, that we still need to work on is if you look at your 5-paragraph essay, you'll notice that every essay or every paragraph that you have written, always the very first paragraph or the very first sentence is the topic sentence, isn't it? And in the paragraph essay that we just finished, the first paragraph is just that one sentence. It's just the topic sentence. But a good essay starts with a paragraph that is a little bit longer than just one sentence. So today, that's all we're going to work on. We're just going to work on one paragraph, the introduction paragraph or the first paragraph, and it's very easy. It's very similar to your 4th square, which is your summary, where you summarize everything that you have done. It's kind of the same thing, except it's summarizing everything that you're going to do, or that what you're going to write about. All right, so you have in your packet a 4-square that's already mostly done for you. Okay, it's this one. Can you see it? And you'll notice that the topic is Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Now I picked this up from someone else. I love Thanksgiving. It is one of my favorite holidays for some of these same reasons. I'm not such a football person, but I was able to come up with some things for football. But anyway, so we're going to write a paragraph, a first paragraph. And I'm going to give you a little hint here. This 4-square has way more information than you need just to write the introductory paragraph. The only thing you really need when you're writing it is your topic sentence, of course. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. But the only other thing you're going to need is your 3 subtopics. And so in this case, it would be family, it would be food, and it would be football. All right? So all this other information there, if you were going to write your whole 5-paragraph essay, you would need all of that. But since you're only going to write an introductory paragraph or a first paragraph, you don't need all of that. And I'm telling you that because you'll, I think it'll help you later on as you write your own. All right? So what we're going to do is I have this one. I'm going to show you how we go about writing the paragraph. You can get your paper out, just a piece of notebook paper, and you can but you're not going to be writing on it right now because you're going to be writing your own after I show you how to do this. All right? So put on your ears and your brain, your thinking cap, and let's get started. All right. So the first thing, really, the first paragraph only needs about 3 sentences. Okay? Now, when you get older and you have more writing to do, of course, there'll be way more involved than this, but to get started you really only need 3. All right, the first sentence, of course, is your topic sentence. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So if you have a piece of paper that you have already written your heading on and everything, you'll have something that looks like this, except it'll be a different name up here. Okay, that's my name. You don't necessarily need to write introductory paragraph. That's just kind of an added thing that you can do. But this is what my first sentence is in my paragraph. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Now the next sentence is going to be a summary of the other three squares, or the first three squares. All right, that's all it is. It's a summary. This is my favorite holiday because of different things. So this is what I wrote. Here we go. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. This is my first sentence. Second sentence. It is my favorite holiday because I see family, eat delicious food, and watch my favorite teams play football. Now, if you notice, I didn't just write, it is my favorite holiday because of family, food, and football. I mean, that would be okay, but it's not very interesting, is it? So it would be better if you added a couple of interesting words to it, descriptive words. And we're not using the word cool, and we're not using the word awesome, and we're not those words. Remember, we've talked about those words being words that are kind of off limits because they don't really tell you anything. All right, they can be used for pretty much anything. All right, so let's go ahead and add some good descriptive words to describe what we like about this. So, it is my favorite holiday because I see family, I eat delicious food, and I watch my favorite teams play football. All right, so now we have our topic sentence. We have our sentence that includes all three of our subtopics, which is family, food, and football. And then the third sentence is just a feeling sentence of some kind. All right, it tells you what you think about it, how you feel about it. I wrote, I'll show you what mine looks like. I look forward to Thanksgiving every single year. And there you have it. You have your first paragraph, and it's an interesting paragraph. It's not just one sentence. And it's three sentences, but you can write one just like it with a different topic. You write your topic sentence first. You write a sentence that includes all the first three squares for your second sentence with a couple of interesting words added. And then you write some kind of a feeling statement sentence at the end. All right? That is it. So now what I would like you to do is get out a piece of paper, piece of notebook paper, and you can put a heading on it, just like I did. You don't be sure to skip a line here between your heading and your paragraph. And then you can choose the same holiday, you can choose a different holiday. I'm very partial to Easter, which is what's coming up, which is actually, by the time you see this, it'll already be past. But Easter, I love Easter because Jesus rose from the dead on Easter, and it's a huge, huge celebration for us. So that's one of my very favorite holidays. So you can choose anything you want to, all right? And you don't even have to go through every detail. Just think of a topic sentence, then think of three subtopics, just words, like I did, family, food, and football. And then you've got your information you need for your paragraph. So go ahead and do that, and then I'm excited to see what you've written, and you don't have to worry about any of the rest of the paragraph. You just read, just write that first one. All right? We'll probably practice that next week too. And so you could, because you now know how to write a first good paragraph, a last good summary paragraph, and then you've learned to put details in between all that. So you are about filled up with your writing skills as far as writing a good essay. Okay. Now you have, and I didn't do this last week. I realized afterwards. You have a poem here. Do you know what a canner is? It's somebody who puts food in cans. All right. Now it used to be many years ago that people canned their, well, people still do now, but not as many people do. And when you can something, you get your food from your garden or whatever you're doing, and you go through a process of cooking and put it in a can and seal it all up. It's a big process, but that's called canning. And when and now people, when they can, they don't usually, they call it canning, but they don't put it in cans. They put it in the big mason jars, all right, and then seal the top. But you know what? When I was a little girl, my parents did some canning, and they had a special machine, and they actually put the food in cans. They had tin cans. They were, unused. They were new ones. They'd put food in them, whatever food, green beans or whatever, and then they would put it in this special machine on the stove. It was something that was a steaming kind of machine that you'd put on the stove, and then they had a special, and I barely remember it. I just remember them using some kind of tool to seal the top of the can, and then we had a can just like you see in the store. Of course, we had to label them because otherwise we wouldn't remember what we put in which can. Okay, so, and I don't even remember how we labeled them, but I'm sure we did. Okay, so here we go, our canner. A canner is exceedingly canny. One morning remarked to his granny, a canner can anything that he can, but a canner can't can a can he? Okay, it's like a tongue twister. Now you have this in your packet. Try it, and try it to read it fast. See if you can do it. All right? He's basically saying I can anything, but I sure can't can a can. And that's true. I've never thought about canning a can before. All right, now you are we're going to talk about something else. It's called inferences or inferring. And you may not have thought about it, but you do it all the time. And you've probably done it in your reading too. And we'll talk a little bit about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and maybe some things that you have inferred there. But think about this for a minute. Okay, we'll just pretend that I am getting up out of my chair, and I look outside and I decide I want to go for a walk. So I put on my big heavy coat, put on my scarf, wrap it all around me, put on my nice warm knit hat, my mittens, and I go outside. And oh, it's so nice out there. And I'm so nice and toasty warm because of my clothes. All right, tell me, what kind of weather is it outside? Is it a hot summer day? Of course not. It's not a hot summer day. Otherwise, I wouldn't wear all that stuff. I would have heat stroke, wouldn't I? Well, what you did was you inferred. I didn't tell you that it was a cold day, did I? I just dressed in warm clothes. But you knew that it was cold by what I was wearing. You can do that in your reading too. Because what you can do is you can say, now let's pretend this whole scenario is in a book you've read. And it will say, she wanted to go outside. So she put on her coat and hat and mittens and all that stuff. Okay, so she did all that. And she went outside. Okay, if it's a book, it would probably be way more interesting than that, but we'll just pretend. All right, so the text said all this stuff. Well, you know that when you're wearing cold, you know that on a cold day you need to wear warm clothes, don't you? So you can infer the text says she wore all this warm stuff. You know in your brain that you need to wear warm stuff when it's cold, so you can infer it must be cold outside. All right? So let's go ahead and we're going to work on our page, and this is your very last page for reading writing. How about that? Very last page. You have made a nice little book. But what you're going to do is you're going to pull out from your packet your pieces of paper that look like this. Now I have a little girl here. I think that you have a choice. I think there's one for a little boy too. So you can choose. You can choose which one you want to put up there. All right. But the very first thing you're going to do is put this top one up. Okay, just going to glue that to the top of your page. And the other one is just a puzzle piece. You can put it however you want to. All right. But I'm going to explain these puzzle pieces, and it's exactly the same thing as what I really just said. Okay. So this stands for the text. This is a book. This stands what you are reading. You're reading that she put on all these warm clothes. Okay. This is what you're reading. Then over here it says background knowledge. And all the background knowledge is what you know in your brain, what you know in your head. You already know this stuff. Well, you know that on cold days you wear warm things. Okay? So this is what the text says. This is what your brain says. So you can infer what kind of day it is. All right? So you're going to put that there. And then down here at the bottom, and you do have in your packet a page that looks like this so that you don't have to try and read this off the video or copy it off the video, so you can look at that. But this says the same thing. Again, I keep saying the same thing over and over. The text says blank. So I can infer blank. The text says she's putting all these clothes on, these warm clothes on, so I can infer it's cold out. Okay, that's just one way you can do it. I know it's cold out. This is another way you can do it. I know it's cold out because she put all these warm things on. All right? And then we can say I can infer the same. It's the same thing. I can infer it's cold out because of all the warm clothes she's putting on. Okay? So we're going to work on that page. Then we're just going to talk for a minute about some things that you can infer about. Now you know a lot of it now because you've already read the whole book. But when you were beginning to read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you didn't know a whole lot of things about Narnia. You didn't know a whole lot of things about Aslan. You didn't know anything much about the White Witch or the children. You didn't know all that, but you were able to start thinking and inferring some things as you read. So let's think about Lucy for a minute. Lucy is a certain kind of little girl. And what I would like you to think about is, what is Lucy like? What are some characteristics? What's her character like? Right? What's her character like? And then what you do is you think, okay, what in the book did she do or say that made me think that she was that kind of a character? Okay? So you think, well, she seems like a very loyal person. Well, what makes you think she's a loyal person? Well, she never ever wavered from her loyalty to Aslan, did she? She never wavered from what she said. She's an honest person, and you could think that by what that she stuck to her story no matter what, as well as what her brothers and sisters said about her. Think about Aslan before you ever met him. Before you ever met him in the book, what did you think he was like? Who and what gave you the idea? All right, so you think about, well, the beaver talked about Aslan at the very beginning of the book. Aslan's on the move. Ooh, that's kind of mysterious. And the children kind of had a funny feeling. Okay, so that's your first clue. Ooh, Aslan must be somebody special. Well, then the beavers, they were talking about Aslan. And the children were trying really hard to figure out about Aslan. What, at first they didn't even know he was a lion, okay? But they were getting a picture. Well then, Father Christmas shows up. What on earth does that tell you about Aslan? And then the snow and ice started melting. And, all kinds of things like that. And all this started happening before you ever met Aslan, but you sure did get an idea of what he's like, didn't you? Okay? So that is what happens all the time in books. And you don't even know you're doing it. And that is a sign of a really good author, if they can tell you a whole bunch of things without really telling you. And you can really figure it out. Okay? And so you are going, so that's all we're going to talk about today as far as inferring. But I might bring it up again next week. I might, with your new book. You are going to be reading this book this week. And this is the last book of the year. Can you believe it? On the Banks of Plum Creek. It's by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Does that sound familiar to you? You have read another book about by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and it was called Little House on the Prairie. And remember, it had Laura and Mary and Carrie in it, and those are the same people that are in this book. Okay, it's written by the same author, and it talks about and it's the same family, but this time they don't live on the prairie. They live underneath the ground. See, it's called a sod house, and so they basically found a hill, and I think it was already made, and someone found the hill and dug into it and made a little place to live. And that's what this is about, on the banks of Plum Creek. So I would like you're going to start reading this. You're not going to read all of it, of course. You're just going to read a little bit of it because you're going to be reading it for the rest of the school year. So I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. It's a great book, and it's really, she lives really differently in this one than she did in Little House on the Prairie. So we'll talk about a little bit more next week. And I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.